Hello lovely people, Nicola in the Stitches and Slapdashery Sewing and Craft Room. Today we've got a little unboxing. I ordered some Yarnspirations yarn. It's the all-in-one granny square yarn and I've been wanting to try it for some time, and when I realised I could buy it in Canada, I grabbed 4 different colourways of it. So keep watching to see what I think of it. I'm very excited. I had a parcel in the mail today. Don't worry, these are not my good fabric scissors, they're my old fabric scissors. We're going to open this together. See what's inside. Oh, look at that. This parcel is from Yarnspirations. This is the Granny Square all-in-one yarn in the colorway Soft White Amethyst. This one is the same yarn in the colorway Soft White Frigid. I'm not sure Frigid was the best choice for the name for that, but there you are. This colorway is called Soft White Pink Punch. And this one is Soft White Hot Stuff. And then I have 2 balls of the solid Soft White in the Red Heart Super Saver, which should, I'm hoping, be the same shade of white as these balls have. I think that's everything that's in the bag. I know there have been many mixed reviews on YouTube about this yarn, but I wanted to give it a go. And rather than try the one with the black outer colour, I went for the white. And I picked the ones that look like they might go together if I made squares from each one and put them all into the same project. Of course, it's so hard to tell when you're just looking at teeny tiny swatches online. Really hard to tell. But I think I did okay. So here's the plan. I'm going to bust one of these open soon and try making a granny square and see how it works out for me. Definitely mixed results from lots of other people I've seen online. And I don't really want to try the exact same pattern that they have on the back of the ball band, because I don't really like it when you see a close-up of the design of Granny Square that Yarnspirations has been publicizing for this. I haven't been impressed. So I might just try starting out with my own idea of a Granny Square because, you know, I don't like to be told what to do. I have my hooks at the ready. Not sure what size they recommend to use, and so I am checking the instructions on the back of the ball band. We've got the care instructions, we've got a pattern in English and French for this top here, and right at the bottom here we've got a very, very tiny schematic of how you're supposed to work up the square to make the colour changes land exactly in the right place. As I know from what I have seen online, many people have trouble getting them to land in the right place. And because I'm a bit of a rebel, I want to use my own idea of what a granny square should be constructed like. We'll see how that works. 5.5mm US I9, I think that says. Yep. US crochet hook sizes are something I have never ever figured out. So I always go by millimeter sizes every time. There's my Knit Pro Waves 5.5 mil. Motifs start with colour 1, shortest colour repeat from centre of pull skein, leaving a 4-inch tail to weave in. Each colour aligns with one round in the motif of 5 colours in total. Blah blah blah. Okay, so I do start in the middle. And let me see, it does show you on the front what these squares are supposed to look like. So this shade here, which is very similar to this shade here, is the central one. It looks like it might be more of a greeny blue, maybe this teal color, maybe it's actually in the right spot. This greeny blue looks very long for something that's only supposed to be in the center. Oh, maybe not. Okay, we're going to give this a go. Apologize for the wobbliness. I've got the camera on the neck doohickey today. I'm going to leave a tail. I'm going to do a magic ring because I like magic ring. And I'm going to construct this granny square as if it's nothing special. Just the regular way I would make a granny square. Just a magic ring, chain 3, and then 2 doubles. And then on the first round I do 2 chains for the corner. And then 3 doubles. I have to say, I like the thickness of this yarn. It feels basically like a Red Heart Super Saver. I think it's exactly the same stuff. But I haven't worked with this weight of yarn for a while because I've got a sock yarn project on the go. I've just had a DK blanket on the go. Obviously a much thinner. And worsted weight is my favorite weight of yarn. Yes, I love to make things out of bulky now and again, but because they're more clunky and require greater gross motor skills, shall we say, they can actually be less comfortable to work. I'm not trying to do anything special here. I'm just working my first round as I normally would, without paying any attention to where the next color lands. And you know, with a new ball, who knows how far into the new color you are when they cut it off. Well, I have some left over, but that's probably not surprising. So I think that what I could do is if I just make my tail another, say, 4 inches longer, so twice as long as I left it, that would actually land about right. Now I feel like I'm in some alternate universe where you can never know where the color change is going to land. I made my starting tail about twice as long, and I still have the same amount of color left over at the end of my first round. That is bizarre. All right, third try. Yeah, look, that's pretty good. Now, in one way, I guess I can see now why they like to start with 6 chains in the pattern on here. I don't particularly like the way it looks in the square. If you go to Yarnspirations Canada or yarnspirations.com if you're in the US, you can see this. You can see the squares made up clearly. And where the 6 chains start the round and then you come around and you do the last 2 stitches right next to the chain, I think it looks really bad because it covers up the base of that chain and makes it look like there's only 2 stitches there. And it doesn't look right to me. But I can see why they do it, because if you finish over here somewhere, then you're in the right place to do the next round. But hey, I can get around this. All I need to do is make it reversible by flipping it and slip stitching back into this space here. And boom, I'm on the navy. Woohoo! Okay, I'm feeling hopeful now. Let's see what happens. I have about 6 or 8 inches of that blue left over. And you know what I'm going to do? I am going to start this again using a 6mm hook, because it's really thick Aran weight yarn and it feels pretty dense crocheted with a 5.5mm hook. I think that I do crochet fairly tightly, so I don't think it'll hurt going up to a 6mm. So I'm going to pull all this out and start again. Just coming to the end of round 1 with my 6mm hook. And it actually feels really nice with the 6mm. Doesn't seem to have made a lot of difference with how much yarn it's using though. I started with an 8-inch tail and I still have about 3 inches or so left over at the end of this round. So pull out again. And now I'm coming to the end of round 1 again. Having left a 12-inch tail. Oh, ooh, look. Bang on. All right. Looking good. But that was with quite a long tail left behind. Now I'm going to do what I did before. I'm going to flip it, go into that spot. It does leave a little blip of colour right there. But hey, if the professionals can't get it perfect, and they're the ones who invented the yarn, then I don't think I should be striving for perfection here, just good enough. So this worked out pretty well. I finished my stitches for round 2, and that's where the dark blue ends. So by the time I have joined, slip stitched in that 3rd chain, and then flip around and slip stitched into that gap. Oh, look, I'm right at the correct colour. So far the 6mm hook is working well. Not so much joy with round 3. I got all the way around to here. I still have a full double crochet and a chain and a join to do, and I've hit the next color. Darn it. I think I might just go back down to the 5.5mm hook for this round. See what happens. I can see why they invented this yarn. I mean, if it works, then you don't have to have ends to weave in every single round you do, which is a lovely idea. But if you've got to carry two hooks around with your work, or maybe even 3, to change your tension for every round, it'll get a little frustrating. As you can see, I have about 6 inches of the darker colour there. But I think I might just carry on and see whether it's a problem. But I think I will go back to the 6mm hook, almost at the end of round 4 with the 6mm hook, and I've only got this much left to do, but I've got a whole cluster still to work, 3 double crochets here. So I should have stuck with the 5.5mm hook. Ripping back again. I'm at the end of round 4. Things are looking a little better. Again, there's a little bit left over with the 5.5mm hook, but that's better than the 6mm hook where I was short 3 stitches. So I like the look of the square, the way I've done it, with the chain 1 spaces along the edges, the chain 2 spaces at the corners. I did get a little bit of colour leaching up into here and here and here. And when I get to the end of the white, I don't have enough to make the last stitch and to join in the round, because here is the greeny colour for the centre of the next square. And that was with the smaller hook. So I used a 6mm for these 2 rounds and then a 5.5mm for these 3 rounds, and it still was not enough to finish that round. I'm ready to start with this colourway yarn, the hot stuff, and try and make a square the way they say to make it. You're supposed to leave about a 4-inch tail, make a slip knot, and chain 4, join in the round. I'm using the 5.5mm hook, which is the one they recommend. Okay, let's try and straighten this up. Sorry if you're a bit wobbly. This around the neck gadget doesn't tend to be that stable. Round 1, chain 6. That represents a double crochet and a chain 3, I do believe. 3 double crochet, chain 3, 3 times. Okay, so that worked out pretty well. Look at that. So far, so good. Round 2. Chain 6. Okay, so that's 3 corners made, and then chain 1 and then 2 doubles for the last cluster. Now you see, this is what bothers me about this. This chain 6 came out of here. And so when I do my last 2 doubles, you know, it might not matter once you've made a ton of these and attached them all to each other and finished a project, because people might not be looking at it that closely. But these 2 cover up the bottom of this chain 3. So by the time you've joined, and yes, I'm using a slapdash join, I know that. You can hardly see it, and it looks like that's not a complete cluster. Oh, and look, there's about 6 inches of yarn left over on that one. So user error, I skipped the part of the instructions at the end of round 1 where you slip stitch into the gap and then do your chain 6. So this starting point is not as far over to the right as I thought. And look at that. With the 6mm hook, I went right back to the beginning and I did both rounds 1 and 2 with the 6mm hook. And it worked. Holy cow. Coming up to the end of round 3. How's it going to work? 2 more stitches to do. Oh, wow. It's hard to tell because the colour's quite similar, but there's the end of the dark and there's the start of the next colour. I'm amazed it's worked out with the 6mm hook, and I haven't had to do any messing about with the tension or anything. Okay, next. The instructions look really complicated at first. When I was writing it out, even though I've made a billion granny squares, I thought it looked complicated. But really, once you've got to round 3, you know what you're doing. And here we are coming up to the end of round 4. I have 2 more stitches to do, but I've only got about 3 inches of yarn to go. So unfortunately, there's going to be something weird happening here. I'm coming up to the end of round 5, and I did make a concerted effort to try and tighten up my gauge a little bit with the 6mm hook, but I think I'm still not going to make it. Because that dark yarn for the beginning of the next square is right there. And I've still got 2 more stitches to work. Dang. So what I'm going to do is I am going to pull back and do that round 5 with the 5.5mm hook and see how that works out. The 5th round in this yarn is supposed to be the soft white, but it's actually pale pink. Obviously the dye has got onto the supposedly white yarn, and it all looks pale pink to me. This is what the white layer is supposed to look like, the white round, and this is way brighter of a white than this is. Definitely pale pink. So now I'm coming to the end of the round again with the 5.5mm hook, and it's looking promising, I think. If it doesn't work this time, I could always take out a chain on each corner, but I think I'm going to make it. I think it's going to be okay. And really, you want to have a little bit of it left at the end so that you don't cut it right at the end of the colour, because you need a tail to weave in. I did it! Although there's definitely going to be a little bit of encroachment into the yarn for the next one. So obviously I'm going to have to leave a shorter tail. With this one, I started out with a fairly short tail to start with. It was only like 4 inches as per the instructions. So I'm going to lose some of this in the next square when I cut the yarn. It looks pretty good. This part's not perfect. That should be the lighter pink there. But this worked out fine, and this worked out fine. So let that be a lesson to me. Maybe I should have just followed the instructions from the get-go, because the other square I made, where I went off-piste, so to speak, didn't really work out. I had to do a lot of faffing with it. There was less faffing with the official square. So there you go. What do you think of it? Have you tried this stuff? It was my first attempt. It's a good size square. And apparently you can get up to 14 squares out of one skein, because they are 250 grams, which is pretty good. I think they cost about $12 something each, Canadian. Probably way cheaper in the States. And this was the second one I did with the actual instructions, instead of trying to go my own way. And it worked out pretty well, I thought. So I was prepared to hate this yarn, but I actually quite like it. It's not super soft. It's your typical Red Heart Super Saver feel, 100% acrylic, but it'll wear like iron. Anything you make with it will probably last forever. It'll probably outlive you. And I think there's going to be some fun makes with this in my future. Red Heart did bring out some, or Yarnspirations I should say, did bring out some pattern ideas. And I already made the granny square pants that they, or trousers, that they published a pattern for not long ago. And I made that out of my own squares. So I won't be making another pair of trousers, but I can see myself making other fun things with this. So if you made it all this way, thanks for watching. If you like, leave a comment. I read all the comments. I reply to all the comments. I'd love to hear your feedback, what you think of the yarn, whether you have tried it, whether you liked it or not, whether you hated it, whether you kept it or gave it away, or what fun stuff you maybe made with it. So I'll see you again soon with another vlog. But in the meantime, have an awesome day.